Hi, I'm John Hodoway, and with Nighthawk Custom Training Academy. You know, I've had some questions about a couple of things that I thought were kind of interesting that I've worked on over the years. The first thing I wanted to talk about today was what's in my range bag to go to the range. And now, for the purposes of this video, we're going to be talking about what would be in my range bag for a match. Okay, so let's go through this bag and let's talk about bag selection first. When I'm looking at a match, what I'm trying to do is pair this bag back to what I absolutely might need on a given stage. Now, I know some of you preppers out there, some of the tinfoil hat brigade, you guys are going to come up with things that I should have in here, you know, a small satellite system, a portable generator, you know, a basic ER setup, and trust me, that's in the truck. What I'm talking about are things that I may need when I'm on a stage of either a USPSA match, an IDPA match, something of that nature. So we're going to go through it as if we're driving our vehicle to the range, we're parking there, and then we're going to go from stage to stage. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the bag itself. Now, this one happens to be an Uncle Mike's bag. I think there's lots of people that make great range bags. Just a little history. The very first, what I consider to be great range bag, was made by Dylan, and then everyone kind of copied that, and the prices have fallen dramatically. But what I like about these bags are they're very sturdy. When you zip them up, they maintain their cube really well. They don't collapse. I've got some other bags right here that, although they're much bigger, they're kind of floppy and they'll collapse down. What I like about these is you can stack them up, you can put them in a cart, put them in the back of a truck or back of a Ranger, something like that, and they maintain their cube if they're zipped up and your stuff doesn't get crushed inside of them. And yet they're still lightweight, they clean up pretty easy, they shed water well. Those are the only things I look for in a range bag. I don't have a particular brand that I recommend, so those are the things I recommend that you look for. First thing is this, and this is pretty important. I have these on each side, and these are just separate zippered compartments. Within that zippered compartment, this one happens to be my Nighthawk double stack Talon in 9mm, and it's the gun that I just recently shot in the IDPA match, so it's going to be in there. I'm going to keep that in a side zippered compartment, zipped up inside of here. That way I know that this gun is clean and ready to go. A lot of ranges you're going to have dust and pollen and gravel and whatever else and stuff falling in your bag, so if you inadvertently leave this open, you can always have it separately. Also, with a lot of matches, they want you to bag and unbag your gun on stages or in safe areas, and that way you don't accidentally take any ammunition up with you. Now, the thing that I would point out, second of all, is this. What I always have in my range bag, well, is another gun. I generally want to take two guns to the match that will shoot in the same division that I'm with. Now, I shoot Nighthawk. I think they make the finest guns in the world. I've shot other brands before, but these are mechanical. They will eventually break. All guns will eventually break. So my motto is, one gun is none, two guns is one. So I'm always going to try to take two guns to the range. If I'm shooting, for a while I shot SIGs, I took two SIGs with me. You know, I shot M&Ps, I took two M&Ps with me. That way I know that if something mechanical happens, or if the gun starts just acting finicky, I can change over to the next gun and have confidence. There's nothing worse than having a gun that actually works and not having confidence in it. And those of you who've competed know what I'm talking about. So this is my way of getting my mental confidence back. So I'm going to have guns. The next thing is this. I try to keep all of my magazines. These are from Competitive Edge Dynamics, and they're just basically Velcro closed magazine pouches. And so for a single stack magazine, I can put two in here, and I just put these in because it keeps my magazines together. And this one will obviously have the other kind of magazines in it for the other gun. Put these in here because it keeps them separate. It allows me not to have them kind of laying down in the bottom of the mag pouch, so I can go through and systematically load them, put them back in, pull them out in order. That way when I get to a stage, I know how many loaded magazines I have versus how many unloaded magazines I have. So that's kind of the gun portion of it. Obviously, I'm going to have my holster for each gun. I'm going to have mag pouches for each gun. So I'm going to keep my mag pouches, my gear, kind of right here in the center compartment and loose. And that way I can get to it if I want to change back and forth. Usually I'm going to put it on when I get to the match, put it on, leave it on, take it off, so it's easy to take off if you go to lunch or Match is over with, you can kind of toss it back here, put your carry gun back on. Now, a couple of things that I'm going to tell you that are obvious to have in your range bag. Hearing protection. I will generally have two types of hearing protection. One of them for when I'm shooting, one of them for maybe just when I'm working clipboard or whatever and I'm back from the firing line, just for a little ease. Now, if you notice, I have some hair deficiencies on the top of my head that I've chosen to shave. So that means usually I've got kind of a wide-brimmed cap on. So these other ones make it really nice when I'm not shooting, just to kind of put those on, keep the wide-brimmed cap on. Which leads me to my next thing that I have in my bag. I always take sunscreen with me. Now, one thing I'll tell you, when it's shooting season, the sun is up and it's going to be hot outside, sunscreen is something I always recommend because it's kind of hard to enjoy a match when you're sunburned. It's also kind of hard to enjoy the rest of the week. Now, getting to a couple of non-obvious things that I carry. I'll always carry just a simple little terry towel. The reason is this. I'm always looking for a clean surface to lay my gun out on if I've got to check something out, or if I've got to load magazines, or if I've dropped something in the dirt, it gives me something to clean it up with. I'll carry, in addition to a full-on toolkit for my guns in the truck, I just carry one of these little needle oilers, and I use just pretty much any kind of synthetic lubricant, because I think, you know, as you get on a stage, the gun gets dry, gets dirty, whatever. This serves to put the oil exactly where I want it and not get the gun dirty, but just let it continue to run. I have a couple of tools that I carry. This first one I carry regardless of what kind of gun I'm shooting. This was actually invented, if I'm not mistaken, by Masada U. It's got a little keychain piece on it here. This end is threaded. It's made out of aluminum. It can be used for a myriad of things. You can put a screw on a cleaning rod on this end. You can clean the gun, put a brush on it, clean it with this. But what I primarily carry this for is a de-jamming tool. So if I get a squib in the barrel, I get something that won't come out, I know this is aluminum, I can insert it into the pistol barrel and just bang the gun down like so. This will keep it from going all the way in, and it'll knock out whatever's in the barrel. I've used this a number of times on other people's guns, my guns. I think this is easier than trying to knock the sights off the slide with against the barrel. It works really easily, and it gets the round out of the gun. You can also use this as a pain compliance device, like a Kubotan or you know, a Persuader, that kind of thing. But I primarily use this as a de-jamming tool. This little tool right here is one, again, that I carry on the stages with me. It's got a little bit of everything on it. This, again, for a 1911. You can see it's got a couple of bushing wrenches, got a little knife on it, got a couple of screwdrivers, some different bits on it. This one's made by Wilson Combat. There's other tools that are out there on the market that I think are just as great, but this gives me the ability to do just some stage quick repair. At some point we'll talk about the toolkit that I carry with me in my vehicle, where I can do some major repairs in the parts that I carry with me, but this again is just kind of a stage device. Last that I carry with me is this thing right here. This was actually something that I got from Maxpedition, and if you notice here, I carry some batteries in here of different sizes, and it'll hold all of them in here. This is an A23. It works in some earmuffs that I have. These are AA's. They work in other earmuffs that I have. I've shot a Seymour. I'll keep batteries in here. So what I do is just make sure that I've got some fresh batteries in here, drop them in, and away we go. So these are the things that I'll typically have in my range bag. The things that I would say to you are, keep it light, make it simple, so that you can know where everything's at. Now, a couple of things that I would say that I will supplement with this. My Wiley X sunglasses. I'll keep these with me. I'll keep them, toss them in the range bag. I keep them in a separate bag so that I can shoot with them, so I can decide if I'm going to use my regular glasses or I'm going to use my Wiley X sunglasses. Last but not least is this. This is a Dillon Precision bag. I keep my ammunition in here. I'll toss my magazines in when I'm loading them, so that I can kind of keep this separate. I'll drop this right inside of here. It'll sit in the middle once I've got my gear on. I can carry everything from stage to stage. I pick this out, I can load with it. I've kind of developed this system over the last couple of years to allow me to not have to carry any extra junk that I don't need and the things that I actually do need. Finally, there's one other thing that I'm going to suggest. If you notice here, I've got a business card. It doesn't have to be a business card, but it needs to be your name, contact information. I again have the same information on my little stage bag that I put my ammunition in. The reason is this. Fundamentally, I believe most shooters are honest. I also believe I'm forgetful. So what I will freely say to you is, if I put my name on something, and if we look at all my magazines, they're all actually engraved so that I've got my initials and the number of the magazine on there so I can tell what's going on. So what I will tell you is, I get my stuff back. So that means that if I leave my range bag in someone's vehicle, if I leave my range bag in someone's wagon that we're pulling from stage to stage, I can very easily and quickly identify this one's mine and don't pull someone else's. I know that because I've pulled someone else's out to try to shoot out of it. Other people have pulled mine. So these are the kind of things that I'll have in a range bag that I'm going to go shoot a match with.